Greetings and mabuhay. Going over some notes about what to make a video of, and might as well talk about the notes that I have. Most of this is about the channel that I intended to make, not knowing the shape of it. So, combination of notes on that and various D&D games, or the planning that I have for various D&D games or campaigns. Paper bow ties. Instead of just wearing a collared shirt, folding paper into bow ties and wearing that. Any thoughts as an audience? Got anything you want to see about that? These notes are strange. Let's get to it. Hug a tree like you're a druid. Seriously, if you've never taken the time to hug a tree, I do recommend it. When I say something is fascinating, do you understand that I mean it in the Romulan context, not the Vulcan? In D&D games, there's a message spell. Allows you to communicate without cell phones. Basically, it's a cell phone. Limited messages, and often you can respond to it. So, to end the message spell with, "You can hear me, yet I not you." That should confuse the fuck out of them. Shouldn't have used that word. Them could be improper. You're listening to DIS Radio. I think that's a good tagline. Notes on what to look to avoid while doing audio recordings. That note's blank. It's combat notes. World of Moss. I believe that came from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. We're going to have to do that one. Details about dice. I usually keep a set of dice right around handy. I don't like four-sided. I'm going to spend some time talking about the D20 later, icosahedron. Such a great word, icosahedron. But the D4 is basically a call trap. I'm going to show you the example of that. It is a hard one to pick up. Whenever you roll it, it lands with a point up. That's why we usually don't like them. And if you step on one, or when you do step on one, you'll learn to not like it either. The response to not having to use a D4 is to roll a D8 and then just count 1s and 2s as 1, 3 and 4 is 2, 5 and 6 is 3, 7 and 8 is 4. I'll do another video on dice. Notes on the order in which to record, or write, record, edit, produce, and then upload. Practice should probably go in there after the writing. And I should write them. I should write scripts. Here's another that says whites and night satin. Knights and white satin. I don't know why I said the first time. Knights without the K. Just knights. I don't know if I should have sang that song and recorded it. I'm not sure what my note on that one was. We'll get into that one later. Higher risk, higher reward. Rules, XDM. When it comes to D&D, that's a misnomer. I use it as kind of a default statement. Like Q-tips, Kleenex. Those are actually company names, not just the thing that you use. D&D gives us a framework, gives us a setting, gives a common term, but it isn't necessarily the game or the game mechanics that I prefer to use. Information about the kind of music I would like for my intro video, for my intro sound. Ended up going a completely different direction, which is phenomenal anyway. Here's a good one. Why the expanded universe is great for the community. Star Wars, the expanded universe, at one point was 2 different book lines, I believe, by Del Rey, and I forget the other one. Great in that there was a lot of information and a lot of world building that was done. And Star Wars Rebels actually carried over some things from the West End games. That was straight up the expanded universe. Done very well. Dave Filoni, I'm a big fan of his. Here's a phrase for my channel. Intro maybe? Let's roll some 20s. It's a to-do list item. That's part of a plan for something. Always play in the key of G demolished. You get it? A Shakespearean voice does not fit a room, just the stage and the heart. Don't know how to use that, but it was important to note because I do want to put that in one of these videos. I did. More notes on music. I had some good intentions. Player tier versus character level. This one is something that I wanted to get into, and I will definitely expand upon in another video. But player tiers was something brought to light, definitely in 5th edition. 3 different tiers versus character level. Like I said, we'll get into that in another video. I was considering using this as part of an intro, as like a... No, it'll make sense. Being bitten by a slightly radioactive cat, this man now suffers the curiosity of 9 lives. WTF, man. That's actually a channel on Odyssey that I need to put some effort into. That place, I think I can use different language and lends itself better to that. Here's a note that says light painting with a lightsaber, which I did. And I put that on the Odyssey channel that I need to get back to. A list of guests that I would like to one day have on my channel. I want to do interviews in character, interviewing other people in character. I would like to interview your role-playing character, your on-stage persona in character. I think Space Ghost Coast to Coast kind of a vibe would be excellent for that. Name for the channel that I decided not to go with. Zelda pointed out a good reason of why I shouldn't use it. David's Deep D&D. Should be used. I want to write up a subclass for monks based on animal styles. If you didn't know the story about the animal styles Kung Fu, I'll have to find it again and read that story. Great story about adaptation. Marines, right up your alley. Kicking ass. Notes on wild shape, because I do intend to write up a subclass for the druid. That's the notes on there. A couple over there I'm not going to get to. Here is a list of plot ideas for games, including throwback to the Animaniacs show. Wheel of RP, spin, spin, spin. Show us the adventure, we will derail. Rescue Space Rangers. Got to run that one. Paper Dragon Empire. Still waiting for the proper place to use that. Smooth Sailing. Backgrounds in D&D are one of the most defining parts of the character class. Well, not class, the character itself. It tells you how the players are going to behave, how they dress, what they're going to be spending their time on. And the most recent game I ran, like half or most of them had sailor backgrounds. I think mostly because it gives you the perception trait or a skill. So giving them an adventure named Smooth Sailing would probably make them nervous. Sora versus the Law. That was something that I did run. Sora was the character that I played when the other DM was running the game, and back and forth, NPC to player. It was a good time. Murder Hobo Advanced Edition I have yet to run, but this is one of my longest standing ideas from Central Lake. I've been waiting to do this one since high school, maybe middle school. It is based on a movie. Lost Forest Tower. That is a setting that I want to expand upon, and I may get to, if I get to finish up the game with Sora, Realms Remembered. That was almost what the channel was called. That's what the Patreon that I haven't done anything with is for. Embassy to the Fire Caves. That was a fun adventure. That one had a plot point. I don't plan out everything. I just have plot points that I want to get to. And that one had a great one that worked out very well. It was a prison full of deranged and demonic elementals, insane dragons. The players went in there, and someone was in there flopping people's alignments. 3 characters, 2 characters and my character, the NPC, passed through that field, and one player spectacularly made his saves. The player with a neutral, or yeah, I think the most neutral of all the alignments, did not pass, but flipping neutral to neutral didn't do a whole lot. And then Sora went from chaotic good to lawful evil, and that was a significant change given the big bad end game, BBEG. We may finish that game, so I don't want to tip the hand too much on that one. But yeah, he's evil currently. He still has the same goals, just how he's achieving them is... He's not as hungry as often anymore, let's say that. Evil Eagle Flamingo Attack. That one I was waiting for. It probably came from the meme about the flamingos on the petrified, or the bones of a T-Rex. I think that's where I got the idea for it. I wanted like rock size, not R-O-C-K, R-O-C, rock size flamingos attacking the town. My player, who was a paladin, about 5-10 minutes in the game, is like, oh, by the way, I get a mount. Just drop that on the DM. A sailor, paladin of the open sea. So quickly I adjusted the game for the night, which honestly I should have had planned out better, to include attack from dire swans, geese, dire geese, which was a fitting mount, I thought. Hopping zombies. Doesn't get any better than hopping zombies. Really doesn't. Murder Hobos from Above actually was the same game that I used the hopping zombies in. Spirit of the Murder Hobo Rises. An ancient warlord spirit had corrupted town brewery. They went in. The first game session that they had a mage with them in my game 2 campaigns ago. Worked out really well. Wanted to pick that back up again. What comes back from the River of Death? Huh? How's that for a premise for a game session? A case of plum wine. Thought that would be good for the low levels. People wanted to start at first level. Don't. If you're going to play straight up D&D, start at 3rd level, 5th level. If you do start at 3rd level, max hit points. If you start at 1st level, throw them a feat. Also, double their initial hit dice. Just do it. Or give them a d6 if they're small. Medium size get a d8 on top of whatever their class gets. 1st level characters die. They do. Wrath is a common mage that I make in every edition, just to see how long they die. Elf, magic user. I think the shortest was about 15 minutes of gameplay. Flash dance. that's my note for a game session. What it was they come in, they dance, the flash dance thing, just all of a sudden in the crowd of people, there's people dancing, sounding fun. They're robbing. However, the townsfolk know what happens, know they don't take too much, and enjoy the dance. The mirrors, how do they work? Yes, that's a play on the magnets one. And there are metal mirrors that are not the same as glass with a bit of metal behind that shines. Metal mirror has a different kind of reflection, and you can work the metal such that you can hide messages in it. It's something that Buddhists and I think Christians did in Japan to hide their religion. The idea with that one that I was going with is they were using it like scrolls or portions of your spellbook. So they were hidden in plain sight. You could see them under the right conditions as the reflection on another object. Boat owner hassles. Again, the party was a bunch of sailors. Tales of the Dire Rabbit. The setting I had did not include humans. I get into that later. But the town folk were spirit folk. Think the tiefling, but for animals. So rabbits. There was a kami spirit, a kami that was, almost redundant, comet spirit, a kami that was in charge or protector of the village. And the village was based on a town I used to work in, Charlevoix. Anyhow. And then the last of my notes for possible adventures to run in that campaign setting was Dojo No-No. Currently, the game that I'm setting that I want to run, which is a continuation of it, is the Great Library Beyond, a multi-dimensional plane library that has some rules like the Federation from Star Trek. They won't teach you how to make a nuclear bomb, but if you're working on it, they'll teach you a lot about the safety of radioactive material. Not that's appropriate for a D&D setting, but you get the idea. Yeah. Paper bow ties. Tell me what you think. If any of those sounded interesting to you, you want to talk about it, by all means message. Leave a comment. I'm happy to expand upon it. And I do need some players for my Great Library Beyond. Someone hasn't paid their dues. We need to find out what's going on there. Mubuhai. Have a good night.